Hey up everyone! So continuing the London Film Festival coverage, today's movie I'm discussing on the channel is the latest film from Jesse Eisenberg called A Real Pain. Eisenberg is on triple threat duty here because he has written, directed, and also stars in this film as David Kaplan, a Jewish digital ad salesman who goes on a trip to Poland with his cousin Benji, played by Kieran Culkin, to reconnect with him but also get in touch with their ancestral roots. Their grandmother was from Poland, she survived the Holocaust. So they're going on this tour of Poland's most significant Jewish historical spots, and also capping off the trip with a visit to where their grandmother used to live. This is Jesse Eisenberg's directorial follow-up to his debut feature, When You Finish Saving the World. As I said in my review for that film, I liked that film, didn't love it, but I did think Jesse Eisenberg showed promise as a director, and I'm glad to report that his sophomore feature is a significant improvement than his first film. When You Finish Saving the World was a coming-of-age dramedy. A Real Pain, though, is an examination of the Jewish experience as well as the disappointments and, yes, pain of adulthood. These two films back to back do feel like a natural maturity in Eisenberg's storytelling, and I will say I had a lovely time watching A Real Pain. It's a very watchable and tidy film. It tells a very simple story, but it's very well written and it's very funny and heartfelt. The characters are dimensional and it balances its genres really well. It's a nice mix of familial dramedy, road trip movie, and buddy movie. It's one of those, it's not the destination, it's the journey type of stories where we really get to know these two characters, how they're wired, how they're similar, what makes them different, because they are the same age, they're just like 3 weeks apart between the two of them. David, who's played by Eisenberg, is neurotic, awkward, and kind of uptight. He's got a wife and a kid, he's a family man, he's a provider, but he's also a warrior. Whereas Benji, who's played by Kieran Culkin, he's a bit of a loose cannon, okay? He's not as stable in his career, he's still single as well. He takes after his grandmother, like she was very bluntly honest. He speaks first and thinks second, which is what makes him quite a fun character to watch because he's quite unpredictable. He's got one of those personalities where when he walks into a room, he lights it up, okay? He's very charismatic, very funny, but he's also quite sensitive and easily triggered. Eisenberg and Culkin's dynamic is really entertaining to watch because Eisenberg very much is the straight man to Culkin's funny guy. They are a bit of an odd couple pairing, but you totally believe that they are related, that they've got years worth of history. Their chemistry as two cousins is very authentic because they know how to push each other's buttons. They are brilliant in this, okay? They both get their moments to shine. Eisenberg gave himself a nice juicy monologue in this. It takes place at dinner with a bunch of other tourists in their tour group, and it's basically the moment where his stress levels bubble over and he goes on a rant about his infuriating cousin. It is a really good monologue because it kind of identifies how relationships with our loved ones can be so complex, like how we can love them and hate them, despise them and admire them, simultaneously. It was just very nuanced writing, and Eisenberg totally delivered on the acting front in this scene. But Kieran Culkin kind of steals this movie because his performance is so wiry. Like I said before, his character is kind of unpredictable. It always feels like he's just on the edge, and when you think he's about to zig, Culkin zags. And there's such a joy in not knowing how he's gonna react or respond in any given moment. He is so good in this. As the title of the film suggests, the film has a lot to say about the subject of pain. As their tour guide James, who's played by Will Sharp, says, this is a tour that's all about pain. Given that the backdrop is one of history's most horrific tragedies, the Holocaust, it brings up a lot of discussion amongst the characters about pain and suffering. It's hard for the characters to compare their personal pain to that of any of the people that went through the Holocaust, but it doesn't mean that they still don't have pain of their own. Both of our central characters are hurting, but in different ways. Benji's pain is more obvious because he had a stronger connection to their recently deceased grandmother, and he's still clearly grieving for her, but as the film progresses, we see that he's grappling with other issues as well. And Kieran Culkin is really good at transmitting his pain through his physicality and his demeanor, but David's pain is probably a little bit more universal in that he lives a pretty comfortable life. He's got a steady job, a wife, a child, but he's become kind of numb to the monotonous routine of his existence, okay? He's unfulfilled by life, but he's self-aware enough to know that his pain is unexceptional to the pain of the history of Poland that they are surrounded by. At the end of the day, everybody has problems, okay? Everybody is dealing with different types of pain. And this film even addresses that because everyone's so focused on dealing with their own pain, we kind of develop a bit of compassion fatigue towards the pain that we see going on in the rest of the world, because it's something that is just fundamentally universal to us all. Shall we talk about its Oscars chances? I do think A Real Pain does have some Oscars potential. Given how open the race for Best Supporting Actor is this year, I actually think Kieran Culkin stands a reasonable chance of getting in for this role. He is hot off the awards love for his role in Succession, and also wouldn't that be funny if both the Succession brothers got nominated for Best Supporting Actor in the same year, because we've got Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice and we've got Kieran Culkin in this. Don't know if it's going to happen. Do you guys think it might happen? If you do, let me know in the comment section down below. But yeah, Culkin's in a good position here because he's got a supporting role which kind of feels like a co-lead. Okay, he's got a lot to work with here. He's got a lot of screen time. It's also a performance that's both very internal and external. Like somehow it's both a big and a small performance. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like his character, his personality is quite big and he's very expressive. But he's also got a lot going on underneath the surface, okay? And Culkin conveys it so beautifully. It's also a performance which straddles the line between dramatic and comedic just beautifully. Like Kieran Culkin is so flippin' funny in this movie. He gets some of the best lines. There's one bit where he says, "Survivor of genocide, I'm a fan." God. And there's another time where he says, "Money is like heroin for boring people," which just made me cackle. But yeah, the majority of the funniest moments in this movie came from Kieran Culkin. I've heard some people say online that they don't think he's gonna get nominated for this performance because his character is quite similar to his most famous character, Roman Roy, in Succession. And I can kind of see what they mean, okay? It's not that big of a jump to see Kieran Culkin go from Roman Roy to Benji in this, but I will say this is just Kieran Culkin playing into his strengths as an actor, and the performance is still really, really good. So if that doesn't bother voters, I do think he could be a contender for Best Supporting Actor. I think Jesse Eisenberg will get nominated, but not for acting, but for writing. Original screenplay is quite open at the moment, and A Real Pain also won Best Screenwriting at Sundance, so I do think there's a strong chance that Jesse Eisenberg will get his first nomination for writing. He has been nominated once before for Best Actor for The Social Network. But yeah, this is a wonderful script, full of ideas, and it's genuinely funny. Most of the laughs in this film do come from Culkin, but it's Eisenberg who wrote it. I also think it does have a shot at getting into Best Picture. A Real Pain might actually be Searchlight's best play for a Best Picture nomination this year. It's kind of the Little Miss Sunshine of 2024, which was also a Searchlight film, because they're both heartfelt, familial road trip comedies with a dynamite supporting turn. Little Miss Sunshine had Alan Arkin, this film's got Culkin. Marielle Heller's Night Bitch seems unlikely to get into Best Picture, and also Yorgos Lanthimos' Kind of Kindness is an anthology film, which also had a lukewarm reaction, so that seems very unlikely too. I mean, Searchlight do have A Complete Unknown coming out around Christmas time, but that might be cutting it a little bit too close to the deadline. A Real Pain has been gaining steam since its release at Sundance. More and more people have been seeking it out, have been really enjoying it, okay? It's had time to propagate this film, whereas A Complete Unknown runs the risk of not really having a lot of time to ignite and catch fire. I'm not saying that that film can't get into Best Picture, it very well could, but as we saw last year, films that came out towards the end of the year, like The Iron Claw and The Color Purple, failed to get a Best Picture nomination. And those were films that really did seem like Academy catnip. But I can see an outcome where A Real Pain manages to squeeze into the Best Picture 10. I think it's probably around the 9th or 10th position though. But it is a crowd-friendly film, okay? It is quite funny, and it's not like it doesn't have anything to say. It has a lot to say about family, Jewish identity, as well as how, as humans, we're becoming more apathetic to the suffering of others. So yeah, I do think it's got enough substance to justify its placement in the Best Picture lineup. I don't think it's a lock to get into the Best Picture lineup, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did manage to make it in. So yes, supporting actor, original screenplay, and Best Picture, okay? That's the Coda package, okay? 3 for 3. And it's also very similar to the Little Miss Sunshine package, which again was a Searchlight movie. But that film also had Abigail Breslin getting into Best Supporting Actress. But yeah, that's currently what I'm predicting Oscar-wise for A Real Pain. What do you guys think? Any more? Less? Whatever you have to say, let me know in the comment section down below. All right then, let's ask them 3 questions. Firstly, would I watch this again? Yeah, I'd happily give this a rewatch. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? Yeah, this is actually a very easy film for me to recommend, okay? It's just a very light and breezy comedy with some drama sprinkled throughout. The performances are great. If you like movies like Little Miss Sunshine or Captain Fantastic, I'm sure you're gonna appreciate the comedic sensibilities of this film. So yeah, I would recommend it. And question number 3, what score would I give out of 10? This was a solid sophomore feature from Jesse Eisenberg. Okay, there's lovely performances in it. There's a nice balance of comedy and drama, and it's just a cozy little watch. So I'm gonna give A Real Pain a score of 8 out of 10. But as always, guys, it is just one bloke's opinion. I would love to hear from you. Have you seen A Real Pain? If you have, what do you make of this movie? Whatever you have to say, let your voice be heard in that comment section down below. If you've enjoyed the video, help me out with a little thumbs up button. For more movie, TV, and Oscars-related content, don't forget to click subscribe. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Hearfield, and I'll see you next time.